Well, hey, everybody. Thank you, Dan Miller, Miller Financial Group. Let's see. It is now Tuesday, the 14th of April. We're about, I don't know what we're here, about 3 weeks into everything that's been going on. And on today's video, I'm joined by a special guest. I got Brian Mensen with Billings and Mensen with me. Hey, Brian, how's it going this morning?
It's going very well, Dan. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, man. I guess your family doing okay? You guys staying healthy through all this?
Yeah, everybody's been healthy so far. My children are tired of being at home with their parents, but other than that, it's been going pretty well.
Yeah, I tell you what, you talk about a different situation. I mean, we're literally in unprecedented territory here. I mean, it's just I know as a kid, I used to like to, have time off from school, but, I've seen stuff on the internet, on Facebook or whatever, and these kids are like craving to go back to school and to see their friends, of course, probably see their friends more than go back to school. But
I think that's definitely happening. I know my son that's in 8th grade very much is ready to go back to school. And that's not normally his thing. So.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Well, hey, Brian, like I said, I thank you again for joining me this morning here for this video. If you would, give me a little, just a description of your business and your family and who all works there at Billings and Mensen. And, of course, Billings and Mensen, I guess I should mention everybody, a law firm located right here near our Red Oak office in Red Oak, Iowa. So, yeah, if you could give us just a little background on Billings and Mensen.
Sure. We're a small office. There are 2 attorneys here in the office. Ivan Miller is my associate and myself, obviously. Our other staff members are Tiffany Maidenwelt, Shirley Billings, my wife, Leah Mensen, and then we have 2 part-time high school kids that work for us occasionally, Dawson Hernandez and my daughter, Libby Mensen. So we've been in business here. Levon Billings started the practice back in 1961, so we've been in practice in Red Oak for a very long time. I moved here in 2002. We are a general practice law firm. I do a lot of tax work personally, as well as real estate and estate. So that's kind of my business background. As far as family goes, my wife Leah works here part-time at the office as well, and then stays at home mostly. I have a daughter, Libby, that's a senior in high school, and a son, Cyrus, that's me.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize your daughter was a senior. That's a tough year for a senior this year. I feel for them for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting. Perhaps missing out on senior year prom and baccalaureate and graduation. Who knows what's all going to happen here. So she's still hopeful that some of those things will happen, but who knows?
Yeah, but I guess it is what it is. I don't know how many times have we all used that. We're all in this together, and it is what it is. So, but well, Brian, if you would share with us a little bit. I mean, how are you operating with your clients right now? I mean, we've been using video meetings like this. We're doing a lot of phone meetings. So how are you working with people right now in your firm?
Sure. So most of what I'm doing at this point is having people drop their tax information off. Obviously, at April 14th, this is generally a very busy time of year for me. Now that the tax deadline's been backed up to July, it's not quite as bad as it has been in years past. For the most part, I'm not meeting with clients individually, face-to-face. I am doing a few phone appointments, but for the most part, I'm just doing documents in the background. People drop stuff off. I'll go through their returns and then call them.
Sure. How about if somebody has something other than tax work right now? I mean, other legal matters. How are you handling some of that stuff?
Well, lots of different things. So everything in the court system is essentially shut down right now. There are no active appearances except for emergencies in actual courts until June at this point. So from the court standpoint, not much is happening other than maybe probate or things that don't necessarily need in-court appearances. Juvenile law is still happening, so those are all being done by telephone hearings for the most part. My associate Ivan handles all of those. But as far as anything in the court, it's not really happening. We do a lot of real estate work, so that's still ongoing. Slowed down certainly a little bit. We're preparing documents. Occasionally, we will have people come in and get things notarized in for very short periods of time, try to maintain as much social distancing as possible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I say, there's just a lot of things that have changed, and to me, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, it's been in our business as well, of course, but what I really wonder is, what is the new norm going to look like? I mean, we're all learning that there are certain things that we can now do from home, remotely, things like that. And it's, there's going to be a certain amount of new normal established, and, inside the legal profession, inside the financial profession, medicine. I have good friends that are physicians, and they've opened up how they're able to do telemedicine. And our daughter is in occupational therapy. She's doing telemedicine examinations. And so, the new normal that's going to come out of some of this is going to really be interesting in all these fields.
It is. We actually had a discussion about that in our office yesterday about, well, do we want to work some from home when this is all over, and how would that look? And how would we handle it?
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a learning curve. And how many clients are really going to want to come and be a part of big crowds or even one-on-one appointments for a long time?
I know. I read somewhere somebody said, this is the death of the handshake. Well, boy, I hope not. I mean, I get it. I understand, but we've been shaking hands for centuries. And I hope that, this isn't the death of the handshake and that we never have human contact again. But I guess time's going to, tell. So
well, maybe it'll just make us all have better hygiene and wash our hands.
That's right. That's right. Well, I know my hands are about to shrivel up. I've washed my hands so many times and put so much alcohol-based hand sanitizer on them. They're about to shrivel away. I know that. So, but well, Brian, while I got you on here, is there anything that you think that would be important for our listeners and our folks watching this video about, maybe some of the provisions of the CARES Act, or anything else about tax filing, or anything that you think would be important to mention right now?
Sure. A lot of the calls I've been getting recently are from clients who are saying, well, I know the tax line got extended, but I haven't heard anything about the estimates for next year. Do I still need to file those here in April? But as of right now, the first federal estimate isn't due until July 15th. The second one is still due on June 15th, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but that's the way the system currently works. Iowa has extended its first and second tax estimates into July as well. So we have quite a bit of time now to try to figure out how to finish all of this. And I don't think anybody really knows how it's ultimately going to play out. Hopefully this doesn't go anywhere near on as long as July, but it certainly could. So there could be lots more things coming down the line from a tax perspective. A lot of people have been asking also about the economic stimulus checks that are coming from the government and how they need to go about getting those. But if you filed a tax return and your adjusted gross income is less than $75,000 as a single individual, or $150,000 as a married filing jointly marriage, those checks should come to you automatically. Also, if you're a retired individual that hasn't been filing tax returns, as long as you're receiving Social Security, you should also receive those economic stimulus checks automatically. If you don't fall into either one of those categories, then you do need to contact the Department of Treasury to get information about getting those.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, because I know that was, especially for folks that weren't filing, or if you weren't filing, or you were somebody that pays in each year and don't get a refund, therefore your information isn't necessarily on file. There's been controversy about, well, how are those folks going to get their checks? Well, of course, there'd be a certain amount of those folks won't get a check because they're going to, you know, phase out of the income scenarios. But yeah, there's definitely some, you know, I don't want to say controversy, just some a little bit of mystery about some of that, and little things aren't quite clear. So thank you for mentioning that. So Brian, as we wrap this up here today, is there anything else that you think it'd be important for folks to think about here from a legal standpoint, tax filing standpoint, you know, as we move forward?
I mean, there are lots of advantages right now because of this CARES Act. There's a ton of different provisions of that act. It's a $2.2 trillion bill. So there may be things that individuals can take advantage of if you've lost your job or being economically impacted by COVID or have contracted COVID yourself. You can take money out of your IRA as an example without penalty early. So there are lots of different provisions of this bill. If COVID is really affecting you, I would encourage you to reach out to your legal advisor or tax advisor and see if there are ways that you can be assisted other than that economic stimulus.
Absolutely. And, you know, the required minimum distributions, that's a big one, of course, you know, that we deal with a lot here as well, is that, you know, there's going to be some opportunities and Roth conversions. I think this year, you know, there's going to be situations where income is going to be down for folks, and you know, there's going to be opportunities for some folks that, you know, to do that. Maybe some tax loss harvesting. That's another thing. Tax selling, you know, that I think there's going to be some opportunities that, you know, would affect you and me, you know, as far as working with folks with their taxes. So, you know, we've really been trying to encourage folks that, you know, if you haven't thought about it, when this is over for sure, you know, I mean, I get it if you don't want to deal with it right now a little bit, but when this is over, it's definitely time to speak with your financial advisor, speak with your tax advisor, and, you know, get a game plan, because there's, you know, things are going to be different at the end of this year. I mean, you know, this year because of what's going on.
Absolutely. And there are definitely planning opportunities available for certain individuals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, Brian, again, I want to thank you for joining me on here today. Like I said, this is great. And like I said, before I go off here, so if somebody wants to get hold of Billings and Mensen, what's the best way to do that?
Probably the best way at this point is to call us at 712-623-4844. If we don't answer, leave us a message. We're very good about returning messages quickly. So.
Absolutely. All right. Well, hey, Brian, thanks again for joining us. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Dan. Have a wonderful day.
All right. You too.